Great. Ready to go.
Perfect. So hello, I am Aline. I am the founder and CEO of VVector Bio. We are developing technologies to improve the manufacturing of cell and gene therapies. So cell and gene therapies are a new generation of advanced medicines. They are really promising alternative for treating conditions that still remain incurable. These therapies allowed blind people to see again, allowed deaf children to hear, and even give life back to people with terminal cancer who have tried every chemotherapy and immunotherapy out there, only to find out that cell therapy is what actually works and the person becomes cancer-free. So this they target the cost, the root cause of the diseases, which means they are not just a treatment, they are the cure. And the future of these advanced medicines is incredibly promising. So, but there is a problem. Manufacturing of the cell and gene therapies is can be really expensive. In fact, 60% of the cost of bringing a cell and gene therapy to the market goes to manufacturing. And why is that? The manufacturing process of cell and gene therapies is complex. It usually involves a virus that delivers the healthy gene. So the virus usually is the therapy or is part of the therapy. And the manufacturing process of this virus itself is really inefficient. Only 1% of what you produce is effective. It actually works. So I have been lucky to be in the field of virus manufacturing for vaccines and cell and gene therapies since I graduated from university in 2005, so it's been almost 20 years. Going through my PhD in chemical engineering and postdoctoral studies. Also, I have worked for large manufacturing facilities in the past. And I have seen that the current solutions in the industry have been to build large infrastructures, large bioreactors that to produce these therapies, which is okay for meeting the demand of targeting, preparing the doses for the patients. But it's not a long-term solution, and the cost, it just keeps increasing the costs. So we need in the field more innovation to alleviate this manufacturing inefficiency and reduce the costs. So this is where our solution at VVector Bio comes. So this is the manufacturing workflow for viruses. So as I said, the virus is the therapy or part of the therapy. And VVector Bio is focused on this step. So this step of the manufacturing includes two components, the cells and the DNA, which we call is a circular DNA, which we call plasmid. So this plasmid and the cells produce the virus, which is the therapy and part of the therapy. And what we have done in the company, in VVector Bio, we have developed new technologies that shift from traditional technologies in the case of the DNA that is used for transducing the cells and produce the virus. So we have shifted from 3 plasmids that are used in traditional technologies to only 1 plasmid. So by doing that, we reduce the cost by 3 times. And at the same time, we have modified genetically the cells that are used for the virus production, and we have a high producer cell line. We are developing a high producer cell line that have the potential to increase the yields 100 times. So this is really significant, and it means before you had to do a 2,000-liter bioreactor to produce the therapies, now you can do 20 liters with our technologies. So it's a significant reduction in cost and in time as well. So our business model is a sub-licensing model. So we are looking to sub-license our IP technologies to large manufacturing companies or distributors. for an upfront fee and also annual payments. And we are looking at other sources of revenue as well, which is selling off-the-shelf products, viruses in our website, and also doing custom manufacturing contracts for clients as well. But our main business model is the sub-licensing of our IP technologies. So the company has been supported in funding from the university, McGill University. We have received $100,000 from McGill University as well. We have bootstrapped the company through in the last years through manufacturing contracts, and we have successfully executed 22 plus contracts, and we have had 11 clients. And as well, we have secured significant government support of around $750,000 from IDAP, MyTax, and CanExport. We have an expert team with great expertise in the field. Together, we bring over 100 years of know-how, along with several publications and patents. Also, we have got some fantastic business advisors and consultants mentoring us along the way. So when we look at the competitors of VVector Bio, we see companies that own traditional technologies and they offer them for licensing. But as I was mentioning before, these technologies to strengthen low yields and it leads to costly manufacturing. And then we have other companies that we call innovators, that they are bringing new technologies to the market, but the increase in yields and the reduction of cost is very modest. And then we plan to position ourselves because our technologies are able to increase the yields of manufacturing 100 times and reduce the cost significantly. So this will make it easier for early adoption of other manufacturing companies. So the cell and gene therapy market is big and is growing at a fast pace. We are looking to target $60 million in 5 years, and the growth in the market space is driven by the high incidence of diseases like cancer, rare genetic diseases, and neurological conditions as well. So this is our timeline. So as I mentioned, we have two lead technologies that we are working on. And in the first year, we are looking, actually in the next 2 months, we are looking to file our provisional patent for our first technology, which is the plasmid, the DNA. And we are looking to having our first license signed by the end of the year. And regarding the second technology, which is the cell line, we are working on the development of the cells and the completion of the technology product development. And we are looking to have a proof of concept demonstration at the beginning of this Q1 of year 2. And right away, we are looking to file a patent, a provisional patent, and expect to have our first license signed at the end of year 2. So we are raising $1 million over 2 years. We have secured already $320,000 to a government grant, and we expect we want to raise $780,000 through equity, and the funds will be split mainly for R&D development, so technology and product development, and also for commercialization, strategy, and IP, and also marketing and sales. So our technologies will be, we are looking to, with our technologies, to reduce the manufacturing cost of cell and gene therapy, and we believe they will be real game changers in making these treatments more accessible to patients in need. Thank you.
Great job, Alina. beautiful timing as well. Perfect. And I love the evolution of the deck, just looking beautiful. Okay, so we'll invite some feedback now for Alina's pitch. Feedback, and then any questions that came up, obviously, during her pitch. Alina the feedback is key, and then there may be time to address any questions that come up if we can. But let's start with Kelly. Why don't we invite you to provide some feedback to kick us off?
Here we go. Yeah. So great job. Just making sure you hit that timing is so hard. So I want to echo that. You got through a lot of complicated things. So well done. Your pace of speech was good. I would say I've got some specific feedback. I think the intro actually worked really well. Thank you for the explainer. You actually talked about what gene therapy is, because I don't know what it is. So that was great to just have that little explainer, so that we're all at the same level and we all understand what we're talking about. It did open some questions, and maybe if you're in the space, you sort of said it's a root cause of diseases, but I don't know what diseases is it all diseases? Is it like, is it a specific area? And that might just help frame it a little better. That's just one piece of feedback. I think just using diseases is so broad.
It's more genetic origin diseases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. You framed the problem and you said 60% of the cost goes to marketing. And my immediate thought was, I don't know if that's good or bad. So I don't have any I don't know if I get it near the ends. I sort of get like you've got yields and you can do that reduction, but it would be helpful for me to know that relative. Maybe it's, competitors are, doing it at 40 or 30, or I don't know what the market's like, but I have no idea if 60% is like really bad. So
that's a good point. Actually, I want to ask you for both of you feedback, because here there are two things. So you could put because 60% is the cost of manufacturing, and the total cost is 1.9 billion. So it's a lot of money. But also for other type of therapies, is simpler. I would say 20% or less. When you talk about other molecules, small molecules, therapy. So do you think this could be a good comparison with them?
I'll leave that for you. I'll just kind of leave you with my feedback. Your job isn't to educate everybody in the room, but I would say that would be helpful, just that reference point. And I would say too, you mentioned yield, and yield didn't really come up in the beginning. Maybe it's a benefit, but that was another just area where I had some clarifying questions. I would say slide 6 on the workflow. That actually is a really powerful point of your presentation, and it's a lot to take in. So I think everything there is really valuable. I almost think it's just too much happening on one, because you're educating us on, okay, where are you impacting in the workflow? That's really great. Then you're talking about kind of the competitors, looking at competitors and what's different should be its own slide. Like, that's really important. And it's kind of, it's really busy. So you got a lot going on there. If there's any space, I don't know if you have time, if you had time left over, but I would make sure it's really clear of how you differentiate yourself from the competitors, and it's there. But yeah, I would make that more of a focal point.
Okay.
And then I had timelines on your timelines, just a clarifying question on, it wasn't clear to me. So you have 2 technologies that you're patenting, or 2, maybe is it technologies? Yeah. Okay. Are they both required to go to market, or could you go to market with one, or are they both required?
You can go with one.
Okay. Yeah, so that's I think having the 2 timelines different, like stacked almost. Because if someone's looking at investing, they're going, oh, I'm not going to be able to sell for 2 years. But what you're telling me is maybe there's an opportunity to start going to market sooner. That might be helpful.
Okay.
If that's part of your strategy, that would be helpful to use the timeline that way. I just want to echo the amount of time you used to go over this really complicated subject. It was really well used. I think you did a really good job. I think your use of slides and kind of, overall, I would say you didn't have too much going on other than the one that I pointed out, the workflow. It's less is more, because I'm trying to listen to you, but I'm also trying to read it on the slide. I think you had a good balance. There's some areas you might want to just look at where you can make sure people are listening to you, is a really good thing. I have a small thing. I found it distracting. You probably didn't notice that you're doing it. You use your cursor a lot. Like you were trying to point at stuff, and then I've stopped listening to you because I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to look. So you want me to just continue to be focused on what you're saying. And if there's something really important you want to focus on, make the font bigger or make the color, right? Like it can stand out without you drawing my eyes to it. So I would say overall, really good job. Great timing. I understood it, and I'm not a scientist, so I think you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. This for me is the biggest compliment, because I mean, Katie have been with me since the beginning, and I have changed the pitch so many times to try to get the message and get people, because I could not get people to understand the problem and the solution. Like there was no, they were not getting it. So I'm happy to hear this feedback.
Yeah, you've done a really incredible job, Alina. And I think it's just now about taking this additional feedback and you're refining and even bringing it up to that next level, because the evolution of your deck and the evolution of your pitch has been truly incredible from week 1 to now. So I just want to, just emphasize how impressed I am with what you've done, even visually. It looks fantastic. So, and I did want to say, Kelly had asked about whether or not you have additional time or room to add more information. You do. You have 2 more minutes to work with. So it's between 10 to 12 minutes. So, Hillary, I'll invite you to provide your feedback. But if your feedback does include to add additional information or include an additional slide, Alina's got that capacity. So feel free to make those suggestions, because the pitch can be between 10 and 12, as I said. And right now she's just at the 10-minute mark.
Awesome. Katie, is that my cue?
Yes, that was your cue. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't clear.
Okay.
I was talking a lot.
First time doing it. No, you're good. Yeah, I would just reiterate, excellent pitch, excellent covering of many key topics. And I think you'll hear from my feedback that it's really kind of this granular pieces, as you kind of get to that. I feel like you're at like 80%, 90%, and really getting to that 100%. So I was at a number of medtech conferences this week. So my brain is very much in the medtech investment space. And my first thing is, as I was listening to you pitch, it was still a bit unclear to me about who your investor audience is. And so with anything, you really want to be clear that like you are pitching for an investor audience. Obviously, your ask at the end reflects that. But I was still trying to think through as I was going through, is she pitching to family foundations or family offices or angels? And so kind of thinking through, okay, who is my ideal audience on this and how am I bringing them in? Which really segues to the next question, which is, how does this fit a gap in the market? Not just the problem, but a gap in the market that people are looking to invest in. And so Kelly hit the nail on the head in terms of you're really articulating what you do to an audience that probably doesn't understand it. Even myself as a health investor, I don't know the detail or the depths of how genetic diseases are connected to lots of things. But the specific feedback that I'll offer is, one of the themes that came up this week was how important it is to find biomarkers early, how important it is for prevention. Governments are looking to invest in certain spaces. And so I think what would be valuable for you is to say not only what this is, but why it's so important and why it's important now, in the language that investors or even governments, and you've gotten a lot of government grants, like why are they investing in you? What does it represent? you represent a solution that is really critical, because it's not just about the immediate solution that you're building, but what it does for healthcare. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I am just trying to think what to say to get to that. I thought it would come through, but I think I get what you say. Maybe it's missing something in the sense of, um, um, you know, the cost of this therapy is so expensive, patients cannot access. It's not accessible for patients right now. It's just too expensive.
Well, and maybe what I'll say is you have to remember that investors hear a lot of pitches, and so it's really important to distill it to like a grade 10 level of why. Like, what would a grade 10 want to know about why what you're doing is so important? That piece, like, I understand the market size, I understand what you're doing, but I still don't fully understand it in the greater context of the healthcare system. Because I think the really important piece that I heard this week is you may likely be pitching to US investors and Canadian investors. Canadian investors care about saving money, which you nail in your pitch, which is great, but American investors care about making money. And so knowing that, like, how does this tell that story? And you can fine tune that language a little bit when you're speaking to different audiences, but how does finding preventative solutions, or even I'm using the finding biomarkers early as an example, but like, how does that act contribute to either saving money or making money? Like, that connection still feels unclear.
Yeah, no, in terms of business, I mean, we are bringing this technology, we reduce the cost of manufacturing, but still you will be so profitable, right? Because the market will widen, so you can get more target indications or more diseases. And then still, I mean, the profitability is there. It's like more than 50%. It's just that the technologies are more efficient.
So maybe I'll dig deeper into that. Why does that matter?
Oh, because there are 20 million people living with cancer diagnosed with cancer every year. And there are 400 million people globally with the genetic disease, and 3 billion people living with neurological conditions. So these cell and gene therapies are treatment for this disease.
Why is it important to get early treatment at a way that is accessible for patients?
Early treatment, they already are sick, so they have the disease. They are living with the disease. So these therapies can cure the disease. So it's not detection. It's,
right.
They are living with the disease. So they are.
So I'll share this with you because I'm working with another cancer oncological solution right now. And this person has worked in the space a very long time. And their mission is to make sure that anyone who needs treatment can get access to treatment. But the reality is that treatment is not accessible to anyone or everyone. And therefore, it's really important that they not only can get access to treatment, but they can do it in a way that is accessible. So I don't know if that's what you're trying to sell, but that piece is still unclear in your pitch. And I think that's a really important thing to clarify, is like, this is why our mission is to do what we're doing, so that like I can take it home and tell my mom, my sister, my brother in a way that like I understand why it's important. And then the rest of the deck is the how, because I can go back and reference that. But I do think it's really important for you to get a little bit clearer on that piece. That's the crux of my feedback. I think you've done a really good job of telling the story and explaining it. The only other piece that I will say is when you're talking about your use of funds, it's really important to articulate what you're going to do with it, not just the activities that you're going to do with it, but the outcomes that you're going to drive from it. And this is actually a critical mistake that a lot of founders make, is they talk about what they're going to activities and inputs they're going to do, but not the goals of the end of that period. So just making sure you've got your outcomes that you want to drive with that capital.
Okay, sounds good. let me just ask you something here for the angel investors, because this is mainly for angels that you were saying, because it's, for VCs, this is too little money, I think, and professional VCs, I mean, in biotech, they invest when you're more mature. I mean, there are different grades, but it's more toward angel and smaller checks. So I don't know, when you say I should focus on the investors, how can I frame this in my pitch that you as a business are kind of more certain of what type of investors I'm talking?
Yeah, it's a great question. So one, I will say that investors like me who invest at the seed stage are still looking at decks like yours. Even though you're at a pre-seed or an angel round, we are watching to see where you are now, because our hope would be to be a part of the next round. So we want to see how you've articulated this. And we also, that's where we're looking for the outcomes, is at the end of this raise in, 12 to 16 months, they will have accomplished X, and therefore they'll be coming back to a VC. So even though a VC might not invest at this point, they are looking for those key pieces. And then the second thing is, most rounds at your stage are going to be a mix of angels and family foundations and philanthropic, and maybe one VC might come in with an early check. So it is really important to be thinking about, an angel may show up and appear as an angel, and I know that there are many within the SheBoot network, but they also have a family foundation, and they also may be able to make introductions to others. And so making sure that you're thinking about, are they mission aligned? Are they values aligned? Are they going to be able to add strategic value as an individual, or potentially as a family office, or et cetera? And so that would be what I would try and really think about, just like you'd be thinking about the audience for your business. Who is the audience and your ideal investor that you're kind of speaking to? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. No problem.
Incredible. Thank you very much. Okay. I've got lots of notes, so you'll be able to get that update, Aline, and I'll get you the recording of the deck really